Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and so Eddie Hall has deadlifted 500 kilos. That is just over 1,100 pounds for those who aren't familiar with the metric system, which I think is just absolutely inhuman. I'm still kind of in shock that a human being is capable of even surviving the sort of intra-abdominal pressure that he had to generate on that lift. That is just ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. I don't care how you want to look at it. It's insane. Now, as I like to try to keep a balanced approach on this channel and look at different sides of a topic, there have been several points of criticism addressed against him by the peanut gallery, and I think in all fairness we should probably, after congratulating Eddie for that, because congratulations Eddie, that is insanely impressive. Now, let's actually look at what some of the criticism is, and I think that we need to sometimes address criticism. If it's valid criticism, it needs to be looked at and analyzed and taken into consideration with things, and not just blown off as haters because when someone says, well, you can't do it, so therefore you have no right to criticize. That's absurd. That's just a way to shut down actual real conversation, and that has no place for intelligent people. So, that being said, one of the biggest points of criticism I've heard made is, well, it's not powerlifting legal. He is using multiple things that are banned in powerlifting for a raw deadlift, and they need to call it an equipped strongman deadlift, not a deadlift. That might be a valid criticism because he's using a deadlift suit, which is going to increase the weight you can use. He's using straps, which is going to increase the weight you can grip and make him focus less on his grip so that he can lift more weight. He is allowed to hitch, which is banned in powerlifting, absolutely banned. Again, lets you lift more weight in many cases. And he may or may not have locked it out. We can't actually tell from a front view if it would have been locked out in a powerlifting meet legal. I can't tell even as someone who is a certified judge. Is that a valid criticism? Yes, only if you were trying to compare him to the strongest raw powerlifting deadlifters in the world, because it's an apples to oranges comparison. It isn't a fair comparison to compare him to someone like KK, for example, who is doing all of his deadlifting completely raw and under powerlifting rules, which are stricter and more stringent than strongman rules. It's not a fair comparison. But that doesn't change the fact that it's an 1,100 pound deadlift. It doesn't change the fact that in his sport, with its restrictions and its rules put into place, it is still the best the world has ever seen. It's still number one in his sport, as long as we don't compare it to, say, powerlifting and say it's the best raw powerlifting deadlift ever, or we don't compare it and say that he is automatically stronger or a better deadlifter than the best in the world in powerlifting, who follow a completely different set of rules and have a different set of restrictions. As long as we don't compare the two, it's not a valid criticism. He's still the best in his set of rules and his set of restrictions, which is what matters. So yeah, he's still the best at what he does. You just can't compare it to a powerlifter. Now, the next criticism I see being leveled at him is, well, he didn't pass a drug test. Were drugs involved? And I see this coming from drug-tested guys in particular, and my point to them would be there's tons of drugs floating around in all of your sports, your federations. Some of these IPF guys will jump up and say this, and I'm sorry, but the IPF, even with its drug testing, is chock full of drugs in the upper echelons of the sport. No one becomes the best in the world at anything physical without using performance-enhancing drugs. Let's just be realistic. Let's be honest. That isn't a valid criticism because, first of all, drug testing doesn't work. Number two, he's not claiming to have done it natural. And honestly, because, again, we're dealing with the best in the world, it doesn't matter unless the guy is lying about his status to sell products. I don't care what he used, what he put in his body to do, as long as he's not getting up there and saying, oh, I did this natural, buy these supplements, buy this workout program, blah, blah, blah. You can do this too if you're natural. As long as he's not saying that bullshit, then it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You guys drinking the IPF Kool-Aid need to get off your high horse. Furthermore, there are plenty of guys out there who are on unlimited amounts of drugs who are taking 10 grams of gear or more per week and sticking their body full of tons of needles every single day who are still failing to do it. They can't do it with drugs. He's the only person, even on drugs, who's ever done it. All the other guys on drugs still can't do it. So to blame it purely on the drugs, at that point, you're probably just being a hater. Now, the final bit of criticism I've seen leveled is, yeah, but he's fat and unhealthy. Is that a valid criticism? Yes, absolutely. He is fat and he is unhealthy as a result of it. He's at an unhealthy body weight and unhealthy body fat. But name for me one other sport, any sport out there, when taken to the extremes, to the absolute extremes, and being elite isn't detrimental to your health or harmful to you physically in some way. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of one other than maybe darts. Maybe ping pong, I'm not sure. Anything else, probably detrimental to your health in some way. And again, this is the sacrifices people make to be the best. And you know what? As long as he's not promoting it as health and fitness, then it's not a problem. If he gets up and says, oh, this is fitness and health, then okay, then we've got a problem. Then we need to address that. But as far as being the best at anything in the world, being elite at anything in the world, usually carries with it health risk. It just absolutely does. That's the nature of competitive sports at the elite level. Now, the only thing I also didn't like, a few of the guys I see saying that are also at unhealthily low body fat percentages. And what they need to realize is that, yes, he is unhealthy. He is possibly going to die younger. He's going to harm his quality of life with what he's doing. But a lot of you guys who are promoting the other extreme, because you're not promoting the middle ground. If you're promoting the middle ground, then okay, great. You're promoting health and fitness. Nothing wrong with that. I promote health and fitness. However, if you're emaciatedly ripped and lean yourself, then you also need to throw in the caveat that you know that you're at an unhealthy body fat percentage that is going to harm your health also. And unless you're willing to do that as well, then you do need to admit your hypocrisy and say, but I'm also at an extreme and promoting a extreme that's just as unhealthy as what he's promoting and that he's displaying for people. And if you do that, we're in the clear. It's a very valid criticism as long as you can admit that yours is also unhealthy. And if you can do that, that's fine. The only people who have a valid criticism to make of that are the people who are promoting health and fitness and a sane middle ground between the two. Those are the people who've got a valid criticism, and I will give them that. That would be a valid criticism because he is at an unhealthy body fat. He is at an unhealthy body weight, and it is probably going to kill him much younger. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope this has been informative as fuck, and I will talk to you guys next time.